Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery. It's a beautiful Monday morning. Today is November 18th, 2024. We get together with our distribution partners most weekday mornings to talk about strategies, tips, techniques, share success stories, and support each of you. Today, we're going to talk about and introduce, I suppose, a new comparison sheet. And I think this will be very helpful for those of you that needed a better way to communicate to prospects about the value proposition of the Shelf Corp. Now, we've had the flyer, and I think all of you have a copy of the flyer. It's editable at the bottom, so it has your contact information. So the flyer is still good, it's still accurate, but it has a lot of words going on. And so that's always the struggle. People want simple and fast, but at the same time, we have to tell them what we do and how it works so they can make an educated decision. Well, we had a number of you that has helped us put together this comparison sheet. So I'm going to describe what's on it, but also talk about some of the whys. Why is the information that's on it? And then we'll conclude with how to use it. Of course, you can get an editable version. This was created in Microsoft Word, so we can get it to you in Word, real easy to change your call to action at the bottom. So let's take it from the top. So instead of saying Shelf Corp, a lot of people don't know what a Shelf Corp is, or maybe don't realize that it's probably the best solution to their problem, assuming their problem is that they need access to capital to start or grow a business. So we use business funding as a general term without narrowing it down to a Shelf Corp. The verbiage here on the left really gives you the scripting that you would need to introduce it and communicate, but let's go through it. So the leading question, of course, is, well, and I can make this larger, do you need capital to start or grow a business, right? So that's essentially the question that we need to start the conversation with, because if the prospect doesn't need money to start or grow a business, then we probably don't have a solution to their problem, or at least the Shelf Corp is not the solution to whatever problem they may have. Then we need to quickly establish an underlying truth. Well, the key to getting funding is to be qualified. You and I have talked about this many times. Lots of people want to need money to start or grow a business, but there's not a bank or a lender in the world that says, oh, if you want it, great, here it is, or oh, you need it, great, here it is. Instead, small businesses need to be qualified, what we commonly refer to as being fundable. So then we move on. We can help through a legal and ethical approach called the Fundable Shelf Corporation. So you see, we're starting with the broader topic of, are you needing money to start or grow a business? And then we're moving into, after pivoting off of, well, okay, you have to have a fundable business, then we now pivot over to the Fundable Shelf Corporation, which is the conversation that we wish to have with them. Now, one of the key objections that we'll receive is, oh, no, I already have a business. Well, that's fine. Clients can buy a shelf corporation from you. They can keep their current business. They don't have to make any changes to their current business. Just odds are their current business is not fundable. It doesn't meet the underwriting criteria to get approved. Well, if the Shelf Corp does, then what we can do is get them into a Shelf Corp, raise the capital, and then if they want, then they can transfer the money to their prior business. So you can see we're trying to use as few of words as possible, but we have to be able to establish relevance to the client, prospective client. So from there, we're going to establish two rules, and it reiterates some of what we said before. What is rule number one? Well, rule number one is, if you want business funding, you must have a fundable business. You must have a fundable business. A lot of people don't know that, or they don't think about that, or they don't want that to be true, but it is true. A lot of people have businesses that are not fundable. It has bits and pieces, but they lack the financial literacy to even know that it's not ready to go to funding. So you can decide how deep you want to go into the elements of a fundable business. But we just want to reiterate that as rule number one. And then rule number two is that buying a fundable shelf corp from you is the fastest and easiest way to have a fundable business. So now we're going to give them some instructions about the grid. And so you could either just hand out this grid, and we'll talk about what's on it here in a moment, or you could use it as a consultative tool to go through and help the client accurately and objectively evaluate what we're offering versus other alternatives. But the instructions here is suggesting, hey, we know we're not the only game in town. We realize that they have many choices, many ways to get funding. Now, again, don't confuse different loans, right? Because it doesn't matter about SBA or non-SBA. It doesn't matter about term or revolving. We have to start with having a fundable business. And so we always have to redirect the prospect back. Getting funding, frankly, is easy once you have a fundable business. But if you don't have a fundable business, getting funding is impossible. So then we want to clarify that we're different, right? So there are other shelf corp offerings in the marketplace. Absolutely. Do they offer the breadth of what we offer? No. And are they free? No. Well, why is ours free? Because we have a grant that reimburses, but we'll come back to that when we get to price. Of course, the contact information at the bottom would be changed to your email, your website, your phone number, whatever it is that you want. Okay, so before I get into the checklist, any questions, comments, concerns on the narrative on the left-hand side? And if you have constructive criticism, something you don't like, that's fine. But anyone have questions or comments on just what we've covered so far, which is this left-hand column, which is the narrative? Any concerns with that? You can type it into the Q&A. Okay, I think we're all on the same page. So now we get over to the point that we want to create a comparison chart. Now, I don't know, and you may or you may not know what other options they're looking at. So we're not going to say, hey, you have to work with us to get a fundable shelf corp or you'll never get funding. I mean, we're not going to say crazy things like that, but we don't know what other options they have. Here, we're going to kind of force the topic and say, well, let's go through prospect how the fundable shelf corp works. And then let's together evaluate what other options you're looking at, and let's see if they include the same things that we offer. Because again, when people don't know something, they often don't know how to evaluate it. They don't know how to decide, is it good for them or not, because it's so new, it's unfamiliar. So what we've identified is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then the price. So we have 6 elements that we're going to, 6 features, 6 benefits that we're going to focus on and encourage the prospect to compare what you and I offer versus what they could get elsewhere. Okay, so the first thing, and this is a big one, is we literally guarantee funding. We literally, in writing, guarantee funding. So what it says here is, with no risk to you, we guarantee a large capital raise. No, it's not too good to be true. That's because we are going to help you become qualified for funding, what you and I commonly call being fundable. Plus, we have access literally to over 1,000 business lenders through our platform. Not 1 or 2, not 3 or 4, over 1,000, SBA and others. So yes, we can guarantee funding, and that's a lofty statement to make, because that means we're on the hook, right? So we put that in writing, it's promised, it's guaranteed. Now, again, you're going to get an editable version of this to change the contact information, but you can change As a white label partner, you control the contract, you control the marketing. So if you want to go in and change these elements, you can, by the way. All right, so do we provide that? Yes. So are there other options that they're looking at? Do they also offer guaranteed funding and access to over 1,000 business lenders? If yes, then you take your pin, literally or figuratively, and check the other boxes. Because again, what we're trying to do is help them make an educated decision. We're not trying to force them or strong arm them into something that's not good for them. We're trying to help them solve a problem. They have told you and I they're looking for capital to start or grow a business. We've agreed you have to have a qualified business, a fundable business. This is one way to do it. So now we're showing them what's included. So, any questions on the first row, guaranteed funding? All right, so Pearlie's asking you. So in our contract, we guarantee a minimum of 100,000 capital raise. You can change that if you want, but our template has a guarantee of 100,000. What if they want more? Well, we can pursue more. If you want to increase the guarantee that you're offering, that's fine. But when we went through the FTC audit, which we passed with no fines, no wrongdoings, we came to agreement that a $100,000 capital raise is achievable by anyone. It's a low enough threshold, still a lot of money, but it's a low enough threshold we can get anyone there. When you get to $1 million or $10 million, could we do that? Sure. I mean, we could do a larger capital raise, but the qualifications become bigger and bigger, right? So do we want to be on the hook that we're going to get you $10 million? That's up to you as a white label partner. Okay, so we start with guaranteed funding because we want to quickly establish we're not going to waste your time. You're not going to work with us and come out empty-handed. So there's the first comparison row. The second, isn't quite as glitzy, but it is functional. We're going to provide them a business plan and financials. We're really good at developing what's called the loan package. And so again, that's included. So if they're looking at other options, the question would be, is it included or not? They might say, hey, Bernard, I don't need that. I've got a business plan and I've got financials. I don't need help with that. Well, great. That's okay. You can go to Golden Corral and buy the buffet and not eat the salad if you don't want the salad, so they don't get this forced on them. We know it's necessary for business funding for most types, so it's included. But yeah, don't get distracted if they say, "Oh, I don't need that. I already have it." Well, fine then that's not an important decision-making criteria, but we still have the other elements to consider. Credit improvement. So different lenders have different underwriting criteria. You know that. Some of them look at personal credit, some of them don't. You and I know that. But in general, it's better to have good personal credit than not, right? Who could argue that? Who could tell you that it's bad to have a business plan? It's bad to have financials. It's bad to have good credit. Of course. I mean, those are irrefutable. Now, the client may already have great credit and say, well, this isn't of value to me. That's fine. Again, salad bar analogy at Golden Corral, no different than this. We don't know what each person has, but we've packaged together what's commonly needed, what's commonly missing to address it. So we will help them remove derogatories and add new positive trade lines. So that's included for free. Is it included for free with what else they're considering? I don't know. You'd have to ask them. Now, frankly, I suspect in most cases, your prospects probably do not even have any other options that they're considering. So it's not like you want to delay the purchasing decision by having them out on a goose hunt trying to find other alternatives. But the bottom line is we're helping them have an objective, structured way to evaluate, is the Fundable Shelf Corporation a good decision for them or not? Okay, so moving on to the next. Free commercial address and business entity. Again, not real sexy, doesn't have a whole lot of sizzle, but it's needed, right? These are elements of having a fundable business. So since they are elements that are needed, we want to provide them at no additional charge. If the client doesn't need it, doesn't want it, that's their choice. But we explain having a true unique commercial address is crucial for qualifying for many types of business funding. Our fundable shelf corporations provide you the commercial address, business entity, EIN, etc. So again, it's included. This is a bigger one that has maybe more sizzle to it. So we're going to literally transfer to them. And I think we're compliant with this. When we first started rolling out the shelf corps, there was a little bit of a delay, but I think we're caught up now. So within the next business day, we are delivering $100,000 to each shelf corp participant within 24 hours. So to me, that's a pretty big deal. To you, maybe it doesn't matter. So as it describes, we're going to transfer $100,000 of assets. What are assets? Assets are something that the business owns. It's reflected on the balance sheet that can be used as collateral for the loan. And we send it to them in the form of AR, accounts receivable. And then we can also help them liquidate that AR. So is that included for free? Yes. Is that available? Looks like that one's a little bit off, isn't it? It's bumped up a little bit. But are they getting that from other options? I suspect not, but I don't know. You should ask them. Opportunity fund. And so Gilbert makes a point. He sees us building a case that we're really giving them the 3 C's. Remember, what does it take to get funding in general? Credit, collateral, and capacity. Those are the 3 C's. Those are the basic fundamental elements of getting business funding. So what we've done is we've built a structure that's like a business in the box that gives them the 3 C's. Thank you, Gilbert, for pointing that out. So next is the access to the opportunity fund. So this is regarding capacity or cash flow. So we're going to provide them a steady stream, if they want, of daily deposits through the shelf corp. So the shelf corp, it's important. Some people see it like a closet that's dark, that's there, but it's just a dark closet. There's nothing in it. It's just a shell, not a shelf. So the word here is not shell, which might suggest there's nothing to it. This shelf just means they're able to go over, pick the business off the shelf, and it's theirs. So it's literally set up, not pretend, not hopeful, to start generating daily deposits. Well, why would someone want daily deposits in their business? I feel like I get that question, but just asking the question to you all, it just seems ludicrous, right? Well, there's 3 C's: credit, collateral, capacity, right? And then lastly, we have out-of-pocket cost. We're going to have to address cost at some point. We have to address cost at some point. And so we are going to address cost. The out-of-pocket cost is $1,000. They're going to pay you as a white label partner $1,000. You're going to keep half, 500, send us half, send us a copy of the executed agreement, and then we'll get financing for the rest. How much is the rest? Depends on you, because you're setting the price. So with that being said, this new flyer I think is going to be very helpful. You can this new comparison sheet, you can still use the flyer, but the comparison sheet I think is going to be really, really helpful for those of you that you're not so good at communicating what we do or how it benefits the client. This will give you a structure to do it. It's not a pushy approach, because we're asking them, hey, what else are you considering? And maybe they have something that's better. I don't know. Maybe so, but I doubt it. The other aspect is selling off of price. Everybody would rather have free, of course, but people that are serious business owners know they don't get good things for free. But the $1,000 is so easy to defend, right? Well, you've played in the stock market arena, right? So you can buy stocks or bonds or options, and so there's things called options where you can buy legally through the stock market an option that if the stock goes up, then you get the benefits, but if the stock doesn't go up, you don't take the loss. You could argue that $1,000 for an option for 100,000 is well worth it. So you could argue that it's worth that. Is getting a business plan and financials worth 1,000? Yeah, on the open market it is. Is better personal credit by removing negative and adding positive worth 1,000? It sure is. Is a commercial address and getting a business entity worth 1,000 on its own? I would argue that it is. Is getting $100,000 worth 1,000? Well, of course it is. That's much greater. It's 100 times that. And then the ability to switch to flip the switch and start making money, is that worth 1,000? I would say so. So what's really awesome about this is any one of these elements is probably worth their out-of-pocket cost to get started, let alone the fact that they get all of these. And you're right. The cost of the shelf is not $1,000. It's more than 1,000. I don't know how much it is because you're setting the price. But with that being said, if you need help, need support, let us know. Madison's your first line of contact. We can get you this editable comparison sheet in Word, real easy to change, and then we just need to go help some people and make some money. We'll see you back tomorrow morning. Let us know if you need anything. Thanks. Bye.